Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, May 4th meeting of the Lincoln City Council. In accordance with LB 898, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. I want to say welcome again, and let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a moment of silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first order of business as the Board of Equalization is to elect a chair. So I will open the floor for nominations.
I nominate Jane Raybold as chair of the Board of Equalization.
Second.
And a second by Richard and Benny. Ty.
Richard.
Please, any discussion? Let's take a vote.
Here, here.
Roberts,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, the order of business for the Board of Equalization is as follows. Each year, the Lincoln City Council passes a number of improvement district ordinances. Today, we are here to equalize the assessments for several such districts: the College View Maintenance Business Improvement District, the Havelock Street Maintenance Business Improvement District, the North 27th Street Maintenance Business Improvement District, the South Street Maintenance Improvement Business District of the University Place, West O Street Maintenance Business Improvement District. The land described in each one of the districts are benefited by the improvements in the particular districts. The cost of these services are paid for by the city from its Special Assessment Revolving Fund. It is then necessary for the city to recoup its cost from the benefited properties and reimburse its revolving funds. These costs or assessments are computed by the Urban Development Department and presented to the city for its review when sitting as the Board of Equalization, as we are now. The clerk will read a description of each district individually. After the district is read, a representative from the Urban Development Department will come forward to make a brief statement about the district. Then anyone wishing to testify may come forward. We ask that if you do come forward, please state your name and sign the sheet on the podium. Please state your name and address before making your comments. Okay. Clerk, let's please read the first item.
We have and I'll actually read all the districts together.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have College View Maintenance Business Improvement District, generally extended from South 48th Street between Calvert Street and Pioneers Boulevard. Havelock Street Maintenance BID, generally extended from Havelock Avenue from Cornhusker Highway on the west to 64th Street on the east. North 27th Street Maintenance BID, generally extended from North 26th Street on the west to North 28th Street on the east, and from the center line of O Street on the north to Fair Street on the south, primarily including those properties abutting North 27th Street. South Street Maintenance BID, generally extended from South Street from the alley west of 9th Street east to 19th Street. University Maintenance BID Improvement District, generally extended along North 48th Street from Colby Street on the south to the half block north of Adams Street on the north, and along St. Paul Avenue from the North 47th Street to North 50th Street. And West O Street Maintenance BID, generally along West O Street from 3rd Street on the east of Homestead Expressway on the west, and including the property abutting the north and south sides of West O Street right-of-way.
Okay. I see our Urban Development Director.
Dan Marvin, Director of Urban Development. I'm pinch hitting for Ron Kane, who normally runs all these numbers, but he's briefed me on this, so I can answer any questions that you might have. I think in general, all of the costs that you see before you are costs that were incurred in 2019, and what is being done by this body today is assessing for those costs that were incurred last year. So that's really the process. Through this process that Ron's been going through, we really have had no comments from those affected people within the BID. We did have one person call in and get an address change on one of the properties. But other than that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions for Dan? Has any of the property owners come out with concerns or complaints or?
The only one was, there was a person who was receiving one of these at a different address, and we did an address change. That's the only communication from property owners.
So if people are listening out there to this program, what do business improvement districts do, and why do we benefit from them?
Well, in general, most of these are maintenance ones, so that would mean that there's a median or there is public property along these corridors that need some kind of attention. In general, what that means would be mowing of the property, or if there are plantings, cutting back some of the, and pruning some of the bushes or trees within that area. They're all really low dollar events, and some of them go up, the costs go up in a year, and some of them go down. Of the 6 that you have before you today, 4 of them are paying less in 2019 than they paid in 2018, and 2 of them are seeing some cost increase. But again, all we're doing is billing back for actual costs.
Okay. Are there any questions? Richard?
This is then paid out of the special assessment fund? Is that correct? That's what I thought I heard her say
That's what it
earlier.
says.
Okay, then,
Paid out of the special assessment revolving fund.
and then we just are recovering back those costs.
Reimbursed for the back.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming down. Is there anyone else in the audience or in the Luxford studio that would like to come and testify on these business improvement districts? No. David Carey is saying no. Okay.
I move approval of all 6 items.
Is there- Okay, Christensen moved approval and Washington seconded. Is there any discussion on these items? Okay, please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
I move adjournment sine die. Second.
Okay, move to adjourn Christensen, seconded by Schob. No discussion. Please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, we are adjourned, and we will go on to the regular meeting of the Lincoln City Council for Monday, May 4th. The clerk will call the items on the agenda under the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. Normally on the second and last meetings of the month immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date nor plan for a future agenda. And I think because we are going to invite the public to now participate via Zoom, or they still may come down, I think we're going to be doing that for next week, May 11th, as well as May 18th. All right, will the clerk please read the first item of business?
Okay, just briefly, we do ask those of the general public coming forward to testify to please clearly state your name, spell your name, and give your address and sign in on the sign-in sheet lying on the podium. Testifiers may use either microphone. If there is a sign-in sheet by each microphone, preferably the one to the right there. We ask those of individual city staff testifying to please state your name, title, and department that you're working for. And once you have testified, if council does not have any questions for you, you can return to your seat. Our first item of business is our public hearing consent agenda, items 1A through 1E.
Is there anyone that would like to testify on any of these items? Is there anyone in the Luxford studio? I don't see anyone. Okay, I think we can vote.
Okay, we can go ahead and vote on these items. Let's see. 1A is the application of Robbers Cave, LLC, Robbers Cave Event Center for Class I liquor license at 925 Robbers Cave Road. This was introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Introduced by Washington and seconded by McGinnis. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1B is the related manager application of Kevin D. James for Robbers Cave, doing business as Robbers Cave Event Center at 925 Robbers Cave Road, introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Introduced by Washington, seconded by Christensen. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1C is the application of Kincaid Brewing Company for a special designated license to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 162 feet by 42 feet at Lincoln Station at 201 North 7th Street on September 5th, September 12th, September 19th, October 10th, October 17th, October 31st, November 7th, November 27th from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. Introduced by Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Introduced by Washington, seconded by Schob. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. And that concludes our consent agenda. Our next item of business would be our public hearing resolutions. Item 3A is accepting the Air Quality Program Grant to 105 Funds Work Plan for the 2020-2021 federal fiscal years.
Okay. Do you have someone that will be speaking on this? We're just accepting the grant funds, which is always a good thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
I did have one question.
Oh,
Oh,
here
Jeff
comes,
Kirkpatrick is coming forward.
Jeff Kirkpatrick, City Attorney. Apologize, Health Director Lopez had to go to the afternoon briefing,
Oh,
so
yep.
she's not available. This is not accepting the grant funding. This is approving the work plan that's
The
done
work
on an
plan.
annual basis. So my understanding is there wasn't anything dramatically different. This is just something that needs to be approved every year by the council in order to be eligible to receive the grant.
Thank you for that clarification. So it's the
who's moving it?
grant work plan. Okay, I'm sorry, do you have a question?
Who's moving it? Who introduced it? Yeah.
It was introduced by Washington.
I did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but I thought we were just discussing it. No.
Yeah,
Right.
and I did have one question. I don't think that, Mr. Kirkpatrick, that you can answer that.
Probably not.
So, Madam Chair, I'm so sorry for bringing this up, but it was just given that the Health Department has so many things on their plate, I wanted to make certain that this was something that they felt like they could they didn't need to make changes to the work plan.
Don't know that, I assume that they're re-examining each year, so there may have been some changes.
Okay.
But I think it's substantially the same as it has been in the past.
It didn't look onerous, but I know they have so many things on their plate that I just wanted to make certain that
Okay.
this could be handled.
Again, I apologize for Director Lopez. I know she wanted to be here.
That's okay.
It's just Mr. Holmes that takes care of that. Scott Holmes is,
The air quality
yeah.
Mhm.
manager.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, then we'll let Sony do her thing. To say we can vote on the
Do
resolution.
we have a
Yes.
motion and second? Do,
It needs to be
Yes.
moved.
Well, Sony, don't you typically,
I'm waiting.
I can read the item again, intro by Washington, and then we can vote on that item.
okay.
Okay, so moved. I'll just say, I'll move it.
yeah, that's what I
Moved
was
by
looking.
Washington, seconded by Christensen.
Need to
Any
sign.
discussion?
Mhm.
And we've
All
had the
right, now we can
discussion.
vote
Now
on
we
it.
go, yeah.
Now we can vote on it.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
That concludes the resolutions.
Our next item of business is item 4, which is our public hearing ordinances, second reading and related resolutions. Item 4A is the text amendment 2003, application of Reed Burdine to amend section 27.72 of the Lincoln Municipal Code, chapter 27.72.060, by allowing vehicle stacking in a drive-through lane in front yard setback for the B1, B3, H1, H2, and H3 zoning districts.
David Carey with the Planning Department here to represent the applicant who is not present at the meeting. Wanted to give you some short background and see if you have any questions about this. This was at our April 15th Planning Commission hearing and it was approved 5-0. This basically is a a change to the code for the B1, B3, H1, H2, and H3 districts to allow for vehicle stacking in the front yard when not adjacent to a residential district. This would be consistent with what is already allowed, which is basically parking aisles, and drive aisles. So the physical representation of what would be allowed is not all that different than what's already allowed, but it's being specific to allow for the vehicle stacking. In this case, it's for specifically an ATM that is desired to be located on a specific property. I would just note also that in a new development with a new approval, that such a drive aisle would be required to have the typical parking lot screening. In the case that this is being changed for currently, it would not be required to do that because it's already an existing development. I just want to be clear on that. But the planning department is supportive of this. There was no opposition at the hearing, and it was approved on the consent agenda. I can answer any questions you might have.
Yes, Benny?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Carey, for the explanation. I saw vehicle stacking, and I saw some type of mechanical device lifting cars up and down. At 40th and Randolph, there's a Runza. And that's kind of the same situation that we're talking about now. It's an existing development neighborhood, and they put something in. I assume vehicle stacking is just cars waiting to make it through the drive-through.
It's specifically the cars that are in line to do some type of activity. So yeah, it would be similar to what you just referenced.
So what was that zone, and how did that happen, the Runza?
You know what? That's a great question. I can get back to you on that.
I would like-
I don't have the exact zoning on
It
top
just,
of my head.
I
right
drive by it and think, that is just should be a house there. But I digress. Thank you very much for answering my stacking question.
The house of Runza.
I have just another stacking question, because I believe this is proposed for on Vine Street.
Correct.
Is the ATM, the drive-through ATM, is it required to have an additional curb cut or drive cut, or how does that work?
No, it is not. And actually, what I do have an image here that
Oh,
I
okay.
can show you.
Thank you.
That'd be great, yeah. A lot that's been on the market for 15 years.
Wow.
They're only taking a small piece of it.
So this is just south of Vine Street, and it's up along the existing kind of edge of the parking area. And this use, not really use, but the fact of the drive aisle for the ATM would not require an additional access point. It's going to use the existing access points that are there. So what you will see is that the cars would come in this way and come out that way, and they're using the existing parking lot.
Okay.
Good. So they stay within the parking lot. They're never going to go out to Vine Street from here.
Not directly from
Not
this.
directly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. That answered my question. Are there any other questions? I think we are good. Is there anyone else in the audience or Luxford Studio that would like to testify on this item? I don't see anyone coming. Okay. We can go on to the next item.
Our next item is item 4B, change of zone 20010, application of Barry and Kelly Fowler for a change from AG Agriculture to AGR Agriculture Residential on property generally located at South 46th Street and Bennett Road.
Welcome back.
David Carey with the Planning Department, here also on behalf of the applicant. This really is a coordination effort with the jurisdiction of Roca. This is about a 2-acre sliver of jurisdiction that's in the city's ETJ, extraterritorial jurisdiction. The remaining part of this is really a development with AGR zoning already in Roca's jurisdiction. That process to get a change of zone is underway for Roca. This is just to make sure that it makes sense that the property ownership is basically handled the same way. So we are in support of this change of zone to AGR. This was also at our April 15th Planning Commission hearing, also on the consent agenda and approved 5-0.
Okay, terrific. Are there any other questions for Mr. Carey? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on this item? Is there anyone in the Luxford Studio that would like to come forward? I don't see anyone. Okay, so we can go on to the next item. And I think the next item is 5A, and I am going to recuse myself because I have a conflict of interest, and Richard McGinnis will take over, and I'll be back.
Did Did you want to sanitize the gavel?
I was
Oh,
thinking about
yeah,
that. I won't, no,
You won't
don't
need
worry. I don't, hopefully I don't need the gavel.
No. Call the room to order.
Yeah. 5A is a change of zone that's coming back to us correctly today. And I'll let you go ahead, and do we have any need for comments from anybody?
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the neighbors, the developer. Everything okay?
I just want to do again, an introduction and second, then discussion.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we
that's
do.
what I was wondering.
Yep.
He reads it, we get it.
Okay.
Move
Why don't you go
by.
ahead and, who introduced it?
Introducing item 5A, which is the change of zone 19026, application of the 8801 LLC for a change from AG Agriculture District to R3 Residential District and from AG Agricultural District to R5 Residential District, both on portions of property generally located at 8801 Holdridge Street. It was introduced by Christensen.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, okay,
You're
now
on.
comments?
Okay.
Now,
So I'm really proud of the neighborhood for stepping up and for organizing and advocating. Getting things accomplished is hard, especially when you might not be familiar with the systems. It might not be familiar with everyone at the table. I'd like to thank the developer for being able to come to the table and to be so willing to work with the neighbors in trying to be a good neighbor. And I'd also like to thank the rest of the council. I feel like every single council member up here provided guidance and assistance to coming to some sort of resolution and compromise to get this across the finish line. And so I'm proud of the neighborhood. I'm thankful to the developer, and I'm also thankful to the other council members. And I'm glad that this is going to be voted on, and that we were able to be a good neighbors all the way around. So thank you to each of you.
Yes, Roy?
This is a good thing.
Any other comments, thoughts? My only one is I want to thank you, James, for all the hard work you put into this. It wasn't easy, and I know it took a lot of extra time, but I think it's very helpful to have somebody like you or somebody on the council to help guide both parties through this. So you did a lot of work, James, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I do want to have a comment.
Yeah.
Your last comment, we're the council, we get to vote on these things. Sometimes people think we make the final decision, and in this case, we encourage the community members to work for their best solution, and we're just saying we agree with it. We didn't impose our will on them, we let them come to their own conclusion, and I think that's a good thing. As Roy said earlier, that's a good thing.
That was a good thing.
Thanks for helping them reach that.
Any other comments, thoughts? Seeing none, please call the roll.
I just want to clarify, was that Shob that second that motion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
We got one more.
You gotta do another one.
Oh, and then we have also
Probably B.
5B, which is our approving a conditional zoning agreement between the City of Hausman Development LLC for property generally located at 8801 Holdridge Street, introduced by Christensen.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Christensen, second by Mr. Shob. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just say that having read through the amended agreement between the property owners and the developer, I am very pleased with the outcome. I am thrilled that the developer could agree to this. He was generous in agreeing to put up the fence, and I'm glad that everyone who were directly impacted signed on.
Yes. Any other comments?
Still a good thing.
Thank you, Councilman Bowers.
Thank you. Any others? Please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
I will be handing over the gavel back to councilperson Jane Rabel
Okay,
from the meeting.
all right. I guess we have one more item.
5C.
We have item 5C, Approval of Amendment Number 2 to the Conditional Annexation Agreement for East A Street Coalition between the City, Heritage Lakes LLC, BCLINC LLC, B&J Partnerships Ltd., David John LLC, Christopher A. Kidwell Homesteads Acres Inc., and East O Realty Company to reflect changes in the scope of financial obligations of the parties related to the road improvements to be constructed on A Street between approximately 89th Street and 94th Street, introduced by Shob.
So moved.
Second.
Introduced by Schob, seconded by Christensen. Any discussion? I'd like to make note that this was a delay specifically requested by the applicant. Any other comments? Okay, let's vote.
Bowers,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Rabel,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Our next item are resolutions, first readings, items 6A through 6D. We also have ordinances, first reading and related resolutions, items 7A through 7F. And then our pending list no date certain are items 8A through 8E.
I move adjournment.
Second.
Move to adjourn by Christensen, seconded by Washington. Roll.
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Rabel,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Please, everyone, keep you and your family safe.